words, to cut through all the verbiage and make a long story short, you don't have an answer. You could have saved a lot of words by admitting as much at the beginning. All you're really saying is that although we don't know how God, we don't understand how God will provide, somehow He will, which is no answer at all. Second, I would respectfully request that you read issues 115 through 120 of our publication regarding God's behavior before relying upon God's alleged justice and mercy. Third, in the style of a true apologist, you denounce an alleged shortcoming on my part, that is, supposedly possessing a weaning, sentimental, foolish sense of justice, without providing so much as a shred of evidence for proof. The problem lies not with my alleged weaning, sentimental, foolish sense of justice, but with your lack of justice, period. Fourth, upon what basis are you referring to me as a liberal, since you know little or nothing about my religious or political views? Fifth, my name was left off my pamphlet because I couldn't think of a good reason for inserting it. Who wrote the pamphlet is of far less importance than the accuracy of the arguments contained therein. Why would I be afraid to put my name on a pamphlet when my name is on locally produced cable access TV programs, hundreds of audio tapes, thousands of issues of my publications circulating throughout the country, and a book behind me? I'm displaying cowardice? Are you serious? Again, you have proved that you know little or nothing about that which you speak. Your final sentence is nothing more than a restatement of your contention that you will leave this matter in the hands of God, which is only another way of saying that you have no answer. Critics will just have to accept your contention that God will find a way out. Of course, God doesn't have to find a way out because He never found a way in. Since the Bible's not His book, it's not His problem. It's the problem of all those who created this mess known as Scripture. Reverend Beebe continues, more specifically, in my own study of this topic, I have found at least half a dozen verses that imply a different kind of judgment for those who have had a chance to believe. I find the Bible does address this issue by stating that God judges people first and primarily on the basis of belief and unbelief, that is, the conscious decision not to believe when given the opportunity to choose, and secondarily on the basis of works, that is, good or evil. The person who had no legitimate opportunity to choose belief or unbelief is not included in this process. While their fate is a matter open to biblical conjecture and trust in God, it can be shown from the Bible that God will indeed show mercy on them. In other words, the contradiction is only apparent until we realize that we're talking about two different things, two different situations, a day of judgment and perhaps a time of non-judgment. This is not a different or opposing kind of salvation, but a different, not opposing category of judgment, unquote. To that I said, you're sinking deeper and deeper. First, you said God would eventually provide an answer to this question, and now you say the answer can actually be found in at least half a dozen biblical verses. Verses implying a different kind of judgment for those who have never had a chance to believe. You not only switch positions, but fail to provide one verse to back up your new position. What verses are you talking about? Second, and even more importantly, who cares? Stop trying to change the topic. We're not discussing people who had a chance to believe. That's not the issue, and was only mentioned by you in order to muddy the waters. We're talking about those who could never believe because of their circumstances. babies, people with low IQs. Third, what is a different kind of judgment? Do you mean there are degrees of justice and the goalposts are set closer for some than for others? Isn't justice supposed to be blind? Fourth, you say people will be judged first and primarily on the basis of belief and unbelief, and secondarily on the basis of works. How is that relevant to those who have neither faith or belief or works? Fifth, you say the person who had no legitimate opportunity to choose belief or unbelief is not included in this process. Where's that in Scripture? You're writing your own text. 6, I would again suggest that you read issues 115 through 120 of our publication before saying God will indeed show mercy to them. Judging from the manner in which God treated infants and sucklings in the Old Testament, one would be foolish indeed to conclude that they're going to get any more justice from God in the next world than they got in this one. After all, didn't God order the slaying of both man and woman, infant and suckling, in 1 Samuel 15:3 and Ezekiel 9:6? You say it can be shown from the Bible that God will indeed show mercy on them. Where? What verses will say they will get special treatment? And lastly, to say that, quote, we're talking about two different things, two different situations, a day of judgment and perhaps a time of non-judgment. This is not a different or opposing kind of salvation, but a different or not opposing category of judgment. To say all of that, my reply to this was and is, since this is nothing more than theological gibberish, I'll do you the favor of forgetting you ever said it. Your use of the word perhaps shows that even you are uncertain about what you're saying. That completes our presentation, and please join us later for the 69th edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, when we'll continue showing why the Bible is nothing more than the flawed composition of some fallible human beings. Thank you for listening.